Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to you all, wherever you are in the world. My name is Nick Philpott. Welcome to the Red and Blue Review. Here we are again, following yet another victory. I'm going to be shortly joined by the entire panel. There's my block number if you want to come and say hello to us at Wembley. But before we get into all of that, please just ask your smart speaker to play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast. Tonight's podcast, in case you're dipping in and out, will be up within seconds after the show, thanks to the lovely Lucy. Also, go over to our Facebook page, our Twitter page. Give us likes, give us shares. Tell your friends who stand with at Sellers Park, have you ever tried the Red and Blue Review? I'm sure my colleagues will be joining me shortly, and here they come. First up comes Mr. Holyoke. Jill Holyoke, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Thank you. Smug all day.
Excellent. Well, I think we've all got a lot as we'll do all that later on. Up north, Nigel Croucher, welcome, mate, from behind.
Good evening. Long time since I've been on, but nice to be back.
How long have you been off?
Well, I've been producing for the last couple of shows, so I've just been in the back.
Mate, you're always welcome, you know that. Back from New Zealand, of course, and saw him in Box Park yesterday. Tim Richards, good evening, Tim.
Hello, Nick. Hello, everyone.
Send that love to Wendy. Great to see her as well yesterday in Box Park. And also, welcome back again, Steve Mason. Umpteenth time this season. How many shows have you done this year, Steve?
I think it's actually probably my fourth, maybe fifth.
Fourth? It feels like my fourth or fifth 500, actually, if I'm honest with you. But we're running out of shows. We're running out of shows, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming towards the business end of the season. We are coming out of shows. Make sure you go over to our YouTube channel. Tell everybody about our YouTube channel. Tell everybody about our Facebook page. Before we get into what obviously we're going to be talking about, guys, shall I start us off with a quick stat? We do like a stat every now and again. Here we go. 7 games unbeaten. 4 clean sheets in a row. 9th in the Premier League table. FA Cup semi-final still to come. And 14 unbeaten when we score first. 14 unbeaten when we score first. And I have to tell you, I'll be honest with you, I nicked that off Twitter, so I can't even credit the person that gave us those stats. I'm going to give you another one, okay? Here we go. Ben White, the wonderfully super talented £50 million player. That is Ben White, the former Brighton and Hove Albion player. £50 million. Right. The equation is 50 million quid. Mark Geehey, Joachim Andersen, Michael Elise, Jean-Philippe Mateta equal 50 million quid. If you add their costs up together, they are 50 million quid. Arsenal paid 50 million pounds for that pile of shit from Brighton. I think actually Brighton, in fairness, have actually had a good deal. They've offloaded a pile of crap. He was awful. Right. Where shall we start, gentlemen? I don't mind what we do. What should we do first? You choose. Oh, we'll do a bit of housekeeping, if you don't mind. Fixture changes, please. Fixture changes, in case anybody doesn't really know, and it's obviously to do with the cup final, semi-cup final of the cup. That was a fraudulent slip, wasn't it? Aston Villa away is now on Sunday, the 15th of May at 2 o'clock kickoff, British summertime, because obviously the clocks have gone forward. Everton away has also now been moved to Thursday, the 19th of May at Thursday night. Odd day for a fixture, 7:45 kickoff. So Everton away, 19:45 on the 19th, Thursday, the 19th of May. Right, boys, let's get into it. We're going to spend what we normally do, as you know, guys. We go do a bit about the game, and then we move on to other stuff later on. Apart from the semi-final, which we will do towards the end of the show, we're going to concentrate on yesterday because I think there is so much to talk about. Jill, before we get into that, is there some hellos to do?
Yeah, there's a few people in the chat tonight. Usually, Daniel Garlick is always one of the first on. Facebook user, I don't know who you are. It's embarrassing, really. I'm not going to read out Facebook users anymore. You've got to do what you need to do. Get your name up. Curtis Simon, Steve Tween, Joan Wills, Mark Corbett, Paul Gruber, Paul Bristol, Claire Davis, Paul Holden, Rob Cranfield, Mickey Philpott, Colin Squires, John Knox, nice to see you there, John Lee Clark, Tom Clark, Samuel, yeah, like I say, the usual suspects, and a lot of them as well. So welcome everyone, and join in where you can.
Absolutely right. Yeah, give us some questions for the panel. Anything you want to ask about? Tell me what you thought about yesterday's game. Right, we're going to kick off. Right, Steve, I'm coming to you first. Joachim, or Yo? What's his name, or how are you pronouncing his name? Joachim,
I've heard Joachim all the time. I don't know anything other, so I'm going to say Joachim.
Because I noticed the Chris Grissom has called him Joachim. Okay, Tim, Joachim, or Yo?
After last night, I think I prefer God myself. But Joachim, yeah, it's. I mean, I don't. As long as he plays like that, he can call himself Mavis for all I care.
So you just changed it. You just called him Joachim instead of you.
Yeah.
Nige, Joachim, you're on mute, Nige.
Joachim
or Joachim or Yo?
Joachim for me. So, as I say, God after yesterday.
Sorry, mate, I missed that because everybody drops off there for a second. Say that again.
Joachim.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to go with Joachim. So we'll go up straight away with the lineups, if you can, please, Greg. The lineup surprised me, and I'm going to tell you for why. Because my understanding was both Zaha and Elise wouldn't feature because they were obviously going to wrap them up in cotton wool ahead of the semi-final of the Cup. So it was a pleasure to see that Zaha was in the lineup. Guaita in goal, Klein, Gehi, Anderson, Mitchell, Kouate, Schlupp, Gallagher, Ayew, Mateta, and Zaha were our starting 11. Any thoughts on the lineup, boys? And let's go to Nige first. Any thoughts on the lineup?
The one surprise was Wilf. Everybody had him out, not playing. Good old George from the crew. I know we gave him some stick yesterday, but he deserves it. He had a good source. Wilf was not going to play, but I say when I put the pulled it up at 7 o'clock and for Wilf to be there. But apart from that, I think it was predicted lineup.
Yeah. Anything on here that surprised you, Jill?
No, not really. I mean, I went to the Ivory Coast game, and when he came off, he didn't look injured. And do you know what? I just think that there's so much going on in football that I think Arsenal might have had their tails out a little bit more if they'd have found out, you know, they were told that Wilf weren't playing, Elise wasn't playing, and you know, Jordan Ayew was, and they'd have been buzzing about that. So I think to see Wilf out there was a little bit of a downer for them, and obviously, you know, very good for us.
Absolutely, and I think it's worthy of note right at the very top of the show to congratulate Cheikhou Kouate and Jordan Ayew. Okay, both of them were fasting yesterday. It's the first week of Ramadan, guys, in case you're not aware. Okay, and they were both fasting yesterday, and their performances, Ayew in particular, I thought was absolutely outstanding. So massive congratulations. And perhaps that's what we need to do, Ayew, every week. Don't feed him before a game because he was on fire. I'll go further than that. Mr. Holyoke, eulogise about Jordan Ayew. You've been his biggest critic so far this season. Tell me.
Yeah, and like I said, if you're a Facebook user, and it was a really good question here, but I'm not going to answer. I'm not even going to read it out because, you know, just put your name up there. No, well, look, firstly, I'm not going to piss on anyone's parade. What we had last night was an amazing. He scored a goal which, I don't know, any top forward in the Premier League would have loved to have scored. I mean, I was utterly amazed that he did that. I still can't remember a single cross from him in all the time that he was on the field. But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to put a downer on it. He was amazing. I mean, you know, his bonuses must be fantastic because his second goal in 53 games. So, but yeah, no one in our team could have took that better like he did. Amazing, and then to be 2-0 up and cruising really after that was, yeah, he did well. He did what Jordan did. He just gets the ball, runs, falls over, gets a free kick, gets up, and he just did what he does very, very well.
Right, guys, the other three of you, did you see anything unique about Jordan Ayew? I know we're skipping ahead here a little bit, but did you see anything unique about Jordan Ayew's goal last night? Can anybody think of anything that you haven't seen before in a Palace shirt?
He made a good run.
He's done many of those. He scored with his left peg. That strike, he is predominantly a right-footed striker or right-footed player, and he very, very rarely does anything with his left foot. Predominantly correct, Jason. See, Jason got in there. Well done, mate. It was with his left foot, and I don't know. I may be wrong. I'm happy to be corrected out in Facebook land. Can anybody else tell me any other? Yeah, he smiled, said Rob Cranfield. Can anybody else tell me, has Jordan Ayew scored for us with his left peg before? Because I don't think he has. So, and it was a wonderful, as Jill has already said, great strike. Tim, good strike?
Oh, it was perfect strike. I mean, I can't believe he got it on target, first of all. But it was a good strike. It was a good run. It was a great cross. His touch was brilliant, and it was well executed. Yeah, top notch.
Yeah, so we'll come back to that in a minute. So Crystal Palace's stunning display of attacking football saw Arsenal left stunned in South London as Jean-Philippe Mateta, Jordan Ayew and Wilfried Zaha fired the Eagles to a 3-0 victory. There's always something special about Selhurst Park, especially Selhurst Park on a Monday night under lights. The place was rocking. Right, okay, where should we start off? But I'll tell you what, anything in the early stages, Nigel, you thought you could see the proof was in the pudding and this is what's going to happen?
It was there from the off for a change. The last couple of matches, we've let them come at us for the first 5-10 minutes. But this week, we were actually in their face from the beginning. I was keeping an eye on the possession from the beginning, and fair enough, Arsenal were up in the 60% possession, but that possession was in their own half. They just weren't getting through to sort of bother Vincenzo.
You're on mute, Nick.
You're quite. Thank you, Nigel. Thank you, Tim. Paul Bristow just said in the chat something like 490 odd minutes without conceding a goal. Fantastic, great stat, excellent stat. Gel, talk us through the first goal. Go on, mate. I was going to say do the chat anyway. So
no. Yeah, no. I just want to cover the chat tonight. You guys can cover. But Rob Cranfield has come up with he said Anderson. You're going to jock him, yoke him, whatever. But Anderson, his name is pronounced Puyol, which I thought was quite clever. Well done, Rob. And then Jones said, and Connor played after having a knee injection, but run for 90 minutes non-stop. I didn't know he had an injection. Yeah, it's only usually after the careers are finished that you find out like many players play through the pain barrier just to get out there.
So, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are watching in the world, I'll come to you next, Steve. Thank you for joining us here on the Red and Blue Review. Please make sure you hit the like button. Give us some smiley faces. These boys have given up their, where are we? Monday, isn't it? Monday evening? No, Tuesday evening. Tuesday evening. To spend a bit of time with you to eulogise about yesterday's great performance. Steve.
Just wanted to quickly say there's a Paul Grubber in the chat saying, is it the first? It's the first time he's seen JP score with his head. Millwall in the cup third round, he scored with his head, I'm sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's your Mr. Grubber. Good evening to you, wherever you are. Mark Easton, I can see you. Andy Hopper. Phil Usher. Where's my cakes? I'm still waiting for a special delivery of fresh cream cakes. They haven't arrived. They're obviously an oversight in the post, mate, but I'm sure they're winging their way to us. Jason's out there. Paul Holden, as Gell's already said. I'm just trying to see anybody. Charlie Burns out there. Good evening, Charlie. Paul Bristow, of course. What a superstar he is. Paul Bristow's joined the Red and Blue Review questions crew as well. Right, who wants to talk me through the first goal? So it was a Mateta header early on after it hit. It said in the notes after a header across the goal from Anderson. Well, it was hardly a header, but and a great delivery by Gallagher before that. Anybody want to talk me through? Steve, want to talk me through?
Yeah, if it's right. So obviously, first of all, it was a great no-look pass from Anderson. Great, put himself where he should be. But Mateta, again, I've been a massive, probably similar to Joel with Ayew. I've not sort of raved about him and always questioned, even though he's scoring, why is he in the team? But actually, I've got to say, the last couple of games I've seen him, he's a good player, I think, or he's got the potential to be a good player. Vieira's obviously getting the best out of him, but he puts himself in the right positions in the box where you want, your tall man to be, in and around the 6-yard box, and he's reaping the rewards, making good runs. It was a good performance from him yesterday, I thought.
Nigel, it's the sort of thing whereby it's the old adage. I think that's 4 in 5 he's scored now. And it's the old adage, you give them a run in the team and you see the rewards. Look, more violence with another corner flag. Look at that on screen now. More pure and unadulterated violence to that call. Yeah, that corner flag's done nothing to him. And
I'm waiting for the Wembley flag to get some jip.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? If
That's going to be beautiful, that.
No, I just think it's the same. We was just saying about giving him a run in the team, and it's proving, working dividends for Mateta. We haven't seen anything of Odsonne Edouard yet. Do you think that's what he's missing, a run in the team?
He's now starting to play his settled team, isn't he? So it's either going to be somebody goes out injured, or somebody's got to do something absolutely brilliant in training to get into the starting 11 now. I think he's found his preferred starting 11 now.
No, just to let you know, you're dropping in and out. Tim.
I think it's you, Nick. I think you just frozen, Nick. Is it just me, or is Nick has frozen?
That's
Nick has left the building.
He has.
So
We'll get him back in a second. Just going straight into the chat. Lee Lockwood. Lee, I was watching that last night. I watched it on telly, and you're right. Alan Smith was absolutely gutted. I've never heard so much crap coming out. I mean, as soon as he said he was one of the commentators, I really was like, "What is this going to spoil the evening? What is going to spoil the evening?" And he tried to. Really, like it's just in it. He's so biased. But while Nick's on the way back, I just want to say about the team, about the Arsenal team. So Kieran Tierney, I think some of us, well, not me, but a lot of Palace fans were sort of glad that he wasn't playing. But the Arsenal fans need not to worry because Paul Tierney, the referee, same surname, he stepped up for Arsenal, gave him everything in that first half, despite the 2-0, going in 2-0 down. I thought they just let their players foul us, and Partey just seemed to be able to just kick at will, really. I think he took 6 fouls to get his yellow card. But after that, it was a bit of a strange refereeing performance. Anyone got anything else to add to the first goal? Because if we haven't, we can move on to the second.
Just a great delivery from Connor.
For the first goal,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was a sloppy, lazy tackle coming down the left, but I think it was Smith from Arsenal, just trying to be cocky and taking Wilf out. I say it was nothing there, and it was just completely Arsenal's own making.
We're on the third goal already. How long was I gone, for God's sake?
We've already been.
We're only on the set. We're only on the first, mate. We've covered the first. Go on to the second, Nick.
Ayew scores the second goal soon after controlling a sumptuous Anderson through ball and then curling it home with his left, as we've already alluded to. I want to talk about Anderson. What have we got in Joachim Anderson, Joe? I mean, that ball was. I'm sorry, but if it had been any other, if it had been Man City, Man United, or anybody else, that was world class.
It was a world class ball. I think you saw one Arsenal player try to cut the pass out, and the other one anticipated that he would cut it out, which is why Ayew had a sort of a 2-yard start on him. It was a bit of a miscontrol that took him towards the centre of the outside of the area. But you can't deny that was a sumptuous left wing curling finish. I mean, and as we've said, it was really everything about goal was so un-Palace. We are scoring quite brilliant goals at the moment. But Steve, you want to say something?
Yeah, so just on that, someone obviously popped up. Rooney said it wasn't a great cross or something or other, and I find that if that was like Steven Gerrard back in the day, or if that was Kevin De Bruyne, doing that now, or even like a Fernandes at Man United, that everyone would have been raving about it. The same as the run from Jordan Ayew. If that would have been Messi or Ronaldo or someone like that scoring with their weaker foot, making that run, great control of his first touch, set him up perfectly. Everything about it was brilliant. But because it is Palace, we don't get the recognition we deserve, which is like it's the same old stuff. You've got to be a top 4, top 5 club to get recognition, but everything about it, as you said, Jill, was just, it wasn't Palace-esque, was it? But but we see it more and more now. I know Anderson, I can't remember which game it was, but Anderson was on the left wing, nearly halfway, absolutely smashed or drilled a ball right away across field, and we went on to score from it. It's unbelievable.
Tim?
Yeah, I was thinking last
Anderson,
night.
He really is.
Yeah, I was thinking about Anderson last night, and it seemed to me that the beginning of the season, that's what he was doing. He was spraying the balls out from the back. He was pinging the ball up. But then mid-season, it kind of stopped, and it wasn't happening, and I think it was affecting our play. But it's good to see now towards the end of the season that he's going back to doing more of that, and look at the difference it made. I'd also like to say I think it's great that Patrick Vieira is finally watching the Edinburgh Review and has actually picked up on the idea that it's not always best to play out from the back, and that sometimes it's good to pop the long balls from the goal kicks, because it was all everyone knew what we were going to do, and so we were playing ourselves under pressure because they pressed because they knew what we were going to do. So yeah, it's really good.
I'm really struggling here.
The balance of play I felt was good as well. Like you were saying, Tim, before it was knock it long, then it was just always play out from the back. But there's a real good mixture. It's like they are actually looking at when's the best option to do it and when's not. And just all round yesterday was just, in the first half in particular, there was everything, a complete first half performance.
Yeah, I can half agree with that. I just saw someone, I think it was Andy Stacey, say it's one of the best games he's ever seen in 46 years of watching Palace. I mean, it was a good game. Yeah, it's the best I've seen Palace in 46 years. It was a good performance, but I have to say I've seen better. But listen, I just said to a Gooner mate of mine today that I really thought that when we first got in the Premier League, the minute we started being able to compete with Arsenal, that was when I thought that we would have a half sensible team, because Arsenal always really had decent teams, and I think we compete with them now. I think we compete on a level with them, at their place, at ours, and I think we're always going to have decent games with them. So yeah, it's a difficult thing to try and get your head around. Nick, how are you doing?
Not so good.
Gerald,
Silent.
Gerald, I think we're just competing with everybody now at the top.
So, in general, as you were saying, Joe, if you look at this season, Arsenal, we've taken 4 points off. and we was unlucky to concede, obviously early on in the season, that last-minute goal. Man City taken 4 points off them this season. We've beaten Tottenham. Chelsea or Liverpool, if the referee would have actually done his job properly, I think it could have been a different game at Selhurst. Even against all of the big boys, we've done very well this year.
Yeah, no, I agree, Tim.
I think you've only got to look at how Wilf's playing now compared to he was playing the last few seasons, even the beginning of the season. You look at the effort he put in. I know it was Arsenal, which is his boyhood club and that, but you look at the effort they all made. I mean, Conor Gallagher's another one. I know he hasn't been mentioned yet, not his most attacking game, but look at the work rate that he put in again yesterday, the chasing, the harrying, the mistakes that we forced them into. Wilf, it's been, I can't remember the last time I've seen Wilf do that much running and help out. And then again, you look at the players that weren't on the pitch and how well we did. You know, Elise not playing, Eze not playing, Maka back for a little cameo. He looked good. So you've got to say that if another couple of players in the close season going forward from a club that was favourites to get relegated beginning of the season, it's not bad.
Yeah, no, you're right there. Don Palace said both North London teams go down 3-0 at Selhurst. It's going to go back into the chat and see Mark Callahan said it's good to see a score from a set piece. Indeed, it was. And Colin Squires said, trouble is, whenever we play one of the supposed big teams and get a result, it's always how bad they played. Not that we stopped them and played really well. That's always going to be the way. That's the big team bias. But yeah, it is what it is. Paul Bristow, I think a lot of Palace fans will be a little bit of glee that Ben White gave away the free kick for the first goal. And yeah, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I did see something from one of our contributors just back a little bit earlier, from Ian. But yeah, I mean, again, Paul Bristow said it's now Thiago Anderson after that pass for. Yeah, really, really, really decent. I mean, if we move on, we've done the first and second goals now. If we move on to going at 2-0 at half time. By the way, I'm just completely winging this because Nick's got all the notes, and I've got absolutely nothing in front of me. So if we go in 2-0 up, Rooney says that we deserve to be where we are. You know, all the pundits are turning in plaudits for us. So I didn't really take a lot of notice of what they were saying about Arsenal because I believe that, you know, when you play really well, you can make a team seem, you know, not really bad. But I think the effort, you know, sometimes we accused out, or I certainly accused that some of our players of lacking effort. And there was certainly 2, 3 or 4 of their players that looked like they weren't up for it last night. I think they'd obviously, you know, being 60 yards away from the fans at their own place, you know, in their soulless bowl, and then having our fans singing and dancing on top of them, I think they get a little bit intimidated, especially White, because, you know, obviously he's with his bright connections. But and Colin Squire says again, the more JP plays, the better he'll get. I completely agree with that. I completely agree. But let's move on to Nick. Are you back or are you not?
I think you'll probably find out I am. I was just love watching you go. Shit, I've got nothing prepared.
Carry on then. Goal number 3.
So did we get to the third goal?
No.
We haven't done third goal, right? Okay. My apologies for my internet connection for tonight, people. So from the other end, and bear in mind, I was at the Homestead and this all took place at the. This was a really bizarre penalty decision, and I'd like you guys to talk about it. From where I was in that Homestead, we could see that there's something obviously happened because he went legs up, but the referee sort of turns away, okay, as though he was running back towards the halfway line, then stops, then blows his whistle, then gives the penalty. Whether somebody had said something in his lug hole or he got a message from the linesman or something like that, I don't know. How did you see it? Steve, how did you see it? I'll come to you next, Sean.
So yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. So I've got kind of two thoughts on this really. First, my instant thing was it must have been a penalty, and then I think it may have been a case that the referee must have seen it and then kind of thought it's like his brain must have taken a second to put it together, like he's had time to think and then gone, yeah, I can give it. Or the referee could have gone, I know this is a supposed top 6 club. Can I get away with not giving it with what we've had in the past? So I think it was just a case of the referee was kind of digesting what he had seen, but just took him an extra split second, which ultimately seems like an eternity.
Yeah, I wondered if it was the linesman. Joe, what are your thoughts?
So, I mean, it's good that you can see that way, Steve. I don't at all. I see that it was, I promise you, watch it and start counting. It's nearly 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Telling you now, he had the thing in his ear saying, got to blow out for a penalty. I'm telling you now, it was that blatantly obvious. But it was
I did wonder that.
It almost looked, as bizarre as it sounded, it almost looked like it was a deliberate hack at him. He was so far away from the ball, the player, whoever it was embarrassing. It literally was like something you do if the kid's got the football, the skillful kid's got the football, and you can't get it off him, just kick him. That's what happened. It was embarrassing. But for that referee, for me, like I said, I just thought he hardly gave us, until he was forced to give yellow cards out because of multiple by the same players. I just, for me, I know people see it differently and looking at it a little bit from a more joyous point of view that we won. That really was crap for us. He literally was rubbish for us, and I think he was directed. And there was blatant fouls that you could see that he never gave. There should have been cards in the first half that he never gave. So, but everyone sees things differently, which is good.
But again, you make a cracking, Joe. You make a cracking point about the fouls in the first half. Nigel, come to you first, and I'll come back on that.
Right, for the penalty, when you look at it, there was 3 of them closing him down.
Yeah.
One of them had him by the wrist and let him go, and you could see there was a pull. I could have given it that. But I think, is it Odegaard?
Yeah.
However you pronounce him.
Okay, Odegaard.
He actually got under Wilf's foot and flipped him.
It's his standing foot.
Yeah, he took him out. That's why it was given. But as I say, as Joel says, I was watching it on the telly, and he had something in the ear.
Yeah, I reckon.
Because when they said, "Oh, it's going to be reviewed," I think it took 2 seconds to review it. So I think the review was done
immediately
when they gave the penalty.
Yeah, I reckon there's something like that. I mean, Jill made a really good point about in the first half. There was a few really meaty challenges and it was, the irony was Arteta said in his post-match interview that Palace, when you come to Palace, you know it's going to be a physical game, and the only 2 players that got booked were my players, and that's what he was whining about, saying that we were heavy-footed. In fact, from how I saw it in the stands, go on, Steve. What are you going to say, mate?
So just quickly, just to sort of corroborate what Joe was saying, there was one particular foul that I couldn't believe wasn't given. I think it was Tyrick Mitchell right by the sort of just outside the 18-yard box, and he got completely taken out. And it was like, how the hell didn't you give it? It wasn't a penalty; it was outside the box, but near the sort of byline. It was unbelievable how it wasn't a foul.
Yeah, and there's more examples of that. I mean, I was standing with Big Richard Harvey, and he's going mental in the stands, saying, "Referee, you left your cards in the dressing room and all that." Because it was just, and even the ones where he did finally, and it was in, coming to you, Nige. Even the one he did give it, and it was towards latter in the second half that he finally booked somebody. It wasn't the worst challenge of the night. I mean, that was a stupid thing. There was worse challenges than that early in the game. Nige.
Right, just quick look at the stats from last night, just the fouls. In the first half, Arsenal 8 fouls. Second half, Arsenal 9. We had 5 and 6. So going on that, sort of, they were dishing it out more than us for the whole game.
Tim, you were in the ground with me, mate. What do you think?
It's kind of, when you're there at the ground watching, sometimes it's difficult to actually get a proper view of when incidents happen, your mind thinks it's right. But I have to say, there were several times last night during the game where the linesmen were pathetic, where basically, yet again, they don't do their job. They wait for the ref to make a decision who's 50 yards away before even knowing which way the throw's going. But I think on a slight side note, I think what it also shows, and it's wound me up today, and I've sent a message, and I'll be interested to see if I hear back, is, we do the show, we do commentary, we sort of give our opinions, and I like to think that we try to be, where we can, unbiased and actually call it down the line. But I'm getting sick and tired of other clubs' TV shows or having people on doing what we do now who are unbelievably biased and are abusive and disrespectful to other clubs, talking complete rubbish and not calling it down the line. And when you see refereeing decisions like, the penalty that wasn't going to get given, like Gel said, he walked away. He wasn't thinking about it. He turned away and walked away before turning back to point at the spot. So it's what I've been saying for a couple of seasons now. The level of reffing in the Premier League is probably the worst I've ever seen it in general. So no surprises, really.
I assume you're talking about Ty from Arsenal Fan TV. Mate,
yeah.
I did see that. What was the word he used? It was one particular word he used. It wasn't.
Nobody's.
Nobody.
Yeah, losing to nobody.
Crystal Palace have never won anything, and we're nobodies.
Yeah.
The fact that those nobodies just taught you football last night. We gave you a footballing lesson. I would dearly love to have one of my fan or blood from Arsenal Fan TV come on this show.
I sent them a message in it. I've sent them a message. I've just had enough of it. It just wound me up. But what I would say in return to that video where he's on there, the number of Arsenal fans that made comments about how embarrassed they were about it and how there's no place for people like him was quite good to see, I have to say.
Arsenal Fan TV tie against Gel Holyoke from Red and Blue Review. What do you think the outcome will be, Facebook land? Gel?
I get embarrassed when I hear stuff like that. I know we all like to have rose-tinted glasses and we all like to have a little bit of banter and call us nobodies and this, that, and the other. But they are just like bordering psychotic, idiotic. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's obviously just it makes a lot of money for someone. But what they need to remember, is that it's a 93rd or 95th minute equaliser that got them a point at their place earlier on in the season. Otherwise, would have been 6 points off them as well. So, it gripes a little bit that you can't, that you can't give a little bit of kudos where literally they had their arses handed to them last night, and I was only a little bit gutted really that it wasn't 4, 5, or 6. We've been a little bit more clinical. I thought we were very clinical, but we could have had 4 at least.
Rob Cranfield just said, Nick, don't use the word blood, you're too old. It's not blood as in BLOOD. It's blood, Rob, as in BLUD. Blood. Okay.
Blood.
It's blood, not blood. I wanted to do a couple of stats. Go on, Steve.
Just very quickly, I think the Arsenal Fan TV, is it Ty? Is it the bloke's name?
Yeah.
I think he especially hates Palace because he had a dressing down from Simon Jordan on TalkSport a few years ago, and I just don't think he's ever recovered from it.
Yeah, good point. And Joe, I'm really glad you reminded me about the game up at the Etihad. I was there. I came out of there, and they were partying in the streets because they just got a late equaliser against lowly Crystal Palace. We came out there as though we'd lost the game, because we deserved to win that game, and you're right to highlight it as well. They were embarrassment on that Arsenal Fan TV, and I did see that last night or this morning, and they're an embarrassment at the Etihad because they came out there, they were jubilant. They'd scored a late equaliser against us. Arsenal's last defeat against Crystal Palace at Sellers was also on a Monday night game in April 2017, where they lost 3-0. Palace have triumphed 5 times now in 44 encounters against Arsenal. Palace have only lost one of their last 11 matches in all competitions, a 1-0 Premier League home defeat against Chelsea on 19th of February, as we've already discussed earlier. Crystal Palace have now scored 42 Premier League goals this season, one more than their final total this time last season. So, and how many games have got left, Nige? Is it 6, 7?
7. No, that is more goals than total last season.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So we've already gone over the top.
Yeah.
Palace had wins over Arsenal and Spurs within the same league campaign for the very first time. Didn't know that one. So final score at the rocking Selhurst Park was 3-0 to the mighty Eagles. Shall we draw a line under that one, or do you want to carry on and look at that? Okay, thank you for putting that on, Greg, because guys, I don't know if you noticed, if you've seen back any of the highlights, but there was one little particular tussle late in the second half where Zaha is actually back in our half of the pitch and doing what he's getting better at, and that's helping to work in front of our defenders. He was out by the byline and he was having a tussle with one of the Arsenal players, and the smile on Zaha's face was a beautiful picture to see. He was thoroughly enjoying the battle with whoever he was up against, and he was after the battle. They'd been pulling off and ball went out for an Arsenal throw or something like that. And Zaha turned around and he had this. He's enjoying his football now. You do realise that we said on this show 3 transfer windows ago, if you don't go tonight, okay, he's gonna retire at Palace. We said that on this show. And it's there for anybody to go back and have a look at. If he doesn't go in that transfer window 3 seasons ago, he will retire at Selhurst Park. I now stand by every word that we said. I cannot see him going anywhere else. He's not Billy Big Bollocks anymore. He is one of a team of very good players around him, and he's now enjoying it because he doesn't need to go to Inter Milan. He doesn't need to go to Real Madrid, okay, because he's playing with some quality. The difference was before, of course, he was the best quality player at the club, and he knew that. Now he's having to work. But he's actually enjoying doing it. And to me, it's lovely to see him play with a smile. And I also enjoyed the fact that somebody mentioned earlier on that I smiled for the very first time. Eddie Nketiah, Trees has mentioned in the chat, boys. Now, bullet dodged, or is available on a free transfer at the end of the season, as you all know, because he didn't come to us. Bullet dodged, or do we go for him? Gel Holyoke.
Half of me wants to give him a chance because his record was he's been amazing at almost every level that he's played in. But the fact is, I think it's not even a secret anymore that we've tried to go for him. We've tried to go for him for the last 3 transfer windows, and he hasn't turned up at our place. And that can mean only one thing: that he doesn't want to come to us. So from now, I'm not really interested. And to be honest with you, he had a chance last night to show us what he's missing or what we're missing. And yeah, I don't see what he offers more than what we've got at the moment. So yeah, no, I wouldn't say a bullet dodged, but I don't want him. Not now. I did, but not now.
Thank you, mate. Tim, I'll come to you in a second. There's a fight in the chat. I've got a mediator in the chat. There's a ruck. Teresa Baker said, "Boys, can we please discuss foul throws?" There was a number of them last night, and there were, and she's quite right to highlight it. There wasn't a number of them, not where the legs been lifted up off the ground. Okay, it's actually where they're like that. Somebody's running through it, and they basically throw the ball like that. And it actually happened a couple of times. And I did notice him last night, Teresa. Now, Tony Quinn, has actually counted what Teresa's question, says foul throw-ins don't really exist anymore. So to avoid them to get into a spat, okay, talk to me. Got him.
They do. A Man United player was pulled up for a foul throw on TV a couple of months ago. Foul throws are a thing, but it's lazy refereeing, and it's even more lazy from the from the linos who are always closer. But yeah, that rule definitely still exists. But again, like I say, it's just lazy refereeing, and the bigger the club, the more you're going to get away with it. You know, anything I don't really like you to do now is you still can't hit a moving ball. You can't just roll it forward, and if it's still moving, then ping it out wide for a free kick. Tim?
It's not just that. In the FA Cup game against Everton, we were given offside on our own half. So, I mean, it's just like I said, the level of reffing is just unbelievable. But I was hoping to mention that Nathaniel Klein. He hasn't really been spoken about, I think, on many podcasts or shows. But I think he's been a bit of a revelation. I mean, we know he's a good player, but to come back in like he has after not that much football, and to basically not miss a beat and done such a good job covering Wardy, I'd just be interested to know what you all think.
You know, I think that's an extremely good observation, Nigel.
Yeah, he's coming. He's done the job. Was he 32 or 33 yesterday? I'm sure yesterday was his birthday. So, you know, it just proves we don't need youth completely throughout the team. And I say, at the back, wise head on a pair of wise shoulders.
Joan makes a good point. Joan, good evening. I hope you're well, my lovey. Thank you for joining us. Vieira has changed so many players for the best, including Wilf. So she's picking up on my point about Zaha playing with a smile on his face. I think the difference is, Joan, in each player now knows his job. I worry about next season a little bit, and I'll elaborate why. Okay, and I think it's the most important thing people need to understand is last night's results stem from the first 2 or 3 minutes, and I'll explain. Our high press, and it was Mateta and Gallagher up front. Okay, we were defending from the front from minute 2 and 3. We were forcing. They were having a pop at their back line really early on, closing them down. And it's Gallagher's energy. Hence why I'm worried about next season. It's Gallagher's energy, which is infectious around the rest of the players on the pitch. And all of a sudden, you look around the pitch and they're all doing it. They're all closing down. They're all shutting down. All getting in. You know, normally we're whinging on this pod that the trouble is we were second to the second ball and all that sort of stuff. Not last night. Because of Gallagher and Mateta's drive up top. Everybody was getting, and we were winning the majority of the first and second balls, and I think that was the difference. Jill, your thoughts on the high press that we used last night, and in England?
Well, yeah, I mean, but it works when you have more than 1 or 2 players doing it. Wilf was at it. I mean, and that was the good thing. We hunted in 3s and 4s. Ayew did it out on the right. Wilf did it on the left. And we shut Arsenal down. And I think they love to have the ball and just to walk forward 5 yards, unpressed, and then someone runs near them. But last night was running through and he was just hurrying the players. He was hurrying Ramsdale to kick it. It was just he was at his best last night on just hurrying and just being an absolute pest, and I thought he was again. He was very, very good, and again, it just reminds me. I mean, obviously, for that position, he's obviously a better player than Maka, but it reminds me of what Maka used to do. The only thing about Gallagher now, I think you've noticed that he stopped kicking people. Have you noticed he hasn't had a card for a couple of games? I think. I mean, he went through a stage where he was getting a card every other game at least. Is he? Have they finished now, or is he
Joe,
up to 4 again?
He's on 8. He's on 8 cards, and if he gets to 10 before we've played 32 matches, he gets a 2-match ban. So if he gets booked in the next 2 league matches, he's missing for 2.
I am here, boys. Can you hear me? All right.
I just want to say.
Yep.
Yeah. Just want to say one more thing. After we scored the first goal, this is what annoys me about referees, that you never, ever, ever see this happen, right, to any big team. I'm going to say big team, right? When we were 1-0 up, Tarek had the ball at a throw-on. And the referee, it was obviously the Arsenal players are shutting our players down and making it hard for him to throw it. And the referee comes over, right? And this is the sycophancy from the referees and the commentary at the same time. And he turned around and said, the referee said, hurry up. And then Alan Smith on the commentary said, look at Palace time wasting already. And I was like, fuck you, both of you. You'd never do that to a City left back, United or anyone. Mate, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
Joe.
Yeah, they've done it to our goalkeeper as well.
Within 2 minutes.
It's embarrassing. You never see that happen.
I want to make an observation, gentlemen. Steve, I can't remember. Were you in the ground last night?
No.
Right, Tim, this is direct to you and then to the rest of you because you watched it at home. There was a period later on in the first half and early in the second half. Bear in mind, I said to you that Selhurst Park was absolutely banging last night, and I'm sure that came across on the TV, especially after we scored the goals. But there was quite a long period, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, where the stadium, wasn't expecting to be 2-0 up at this stage. The stadium seemed to go a little bit flatter, a little bit quieter, because I think they were expecting more from Arsenal, and Arsenal were going to hit us back. And obviously, as we know now, it never happened. Tim, did you notice that the stadiums did fall a little bit quieter for a period?
It's funny you say that because Wendy and I were speaking before the game as the teams came out to start the game. And it was like, yeah, there was cheering and there was singing. But Wendy would say we kind of seems a bit flat tonight. The atmosphere kind of seems a bit flat. But then the game started. And we were right at them, and the atmosphere came up. I think it's partly 2-0 up, playing. I mean, how many times have we seen our team be that dominant against one of the supposed big 4, big 6 clubs? I think there's probably an element because we have been playing so well for quite a few games, not complacency, but is it kind of, yeah, great, it's going well again. Whether there was some pre-FA Cup semi-final, for God's sake, don't anyone get injured before the... I don't know, but there was... It did. It kind of peaks and troughs yesterday, I think. There were some parts where the crowd were amazing, where the noise, the atmosphere was great. But yeah, there were some times where it was a bit, kind of not the usual for 90 minutes atmosphere.
Paul Holden in the chat has just made a point. He said the Arthur Waite was a little bit quiet last night. Now, do you know what, Paul? I think you might have a point there. I wonder if last night, because it was the Arsenal game, whether I think the Arthur Waite had a different clientele in there last night, whether they had tourists in there because we were playing the mighty Arsenal and the regulars weren't necessarily, not all the, of course some of them were, some of the regulars weren't there. Because I think Paul's point about the Arthur was quite... The only time I heard the Arthur, bear in mind I stand right next to it, okay, the only time I heard the Arthur last night was when the HF started the We're the Holmesdale song, and they replied with the Arthur. That's when I heard the Arthur Waite. I may be completely wrong, but Paul, you might have a point. So, we're going to move on, gentlemen. I know Jill wanted to touch on England because we both went to see the England game the other day, and nothing could fill me with much more pride than watching one of our players. Hello, Jinx. Good evening, darling. How are you doing? You all right, mate? That's a business cat, that is. I'll tell you that. She doesn't like me. I don't think she likes any male. Anyway, nothing filled me more with pride than watching Tyrick Mitchell on that pitch on whatever night it was, Tuesday night, wasn't it? It's just look at the stature of that man and how he's grown in less than 18 months. Somebody gave me a stat the other day. Do you realise, everybody out in Facebook land, that Tyrick Mitchell, I think it was when he ran out for England the other night, that was only his 54th first team senior appearance, and he's now playing for your country. It's just his growth is just staggering. And if you notice his stature, his physical stature, look at him in that picture there. He was a smaller, very skinny little man 18 months ago. Okay, I nearly was rude to say young boy there, but now he seems to be bulking out a little bit. He just he's in amongst it. Jill, your pride. Talk about your pride the other night when we were there.
Oh mate, yeah. I mean that was the second game when I was, you know, when I took you along, and it was. I was at the first one, and I was sitting down in row 4, literally just across from the subs bench, and I looked across, and what I will say is, as much as I give stick to other teams' players, Jack Grealish was unbelievable with him. He was talking to him throughout the entire game when they were on the subs bench. He was, you know, he'd give him an handshake as he was as he was getting ready, and then what's his name? Who's the old Charlton player that used to play for Chris Powell? Chris Powell and him must have an amazing relationship, because almost got a little bit emotional. See him, you could see him. He had his arm around his shoulder, and he was hugging him like his dad. You know, he must have been so proud. I'd love to hear Chris Powell's take on that, because he just looks so proud. And then, of course, he comes through onto the pitch side, and then Gareth Southgate puts his arm around him, and I've got goosebumps. I was so proud of him, and I know we've had, you know, in my lifetime we've had other players, but I never got to appreciate that played international football, especially for England. But for me, to have a Palace player, as you know, playing left back, and the last one was Kenny Sansom. You know, it was incredible, and I thought he played very well both times he got on the pitch. He played really, really well. So for me, was just the whole thing for me. And then, of course, you know, we'll talk about Mark, and I don't know if people realised that, you know, that what happened in that first game was he came out and he was the player back 3, and he was on the left side. When we came out for the second half, he was on the right side. And then the halfway through the second half, he played in the middle. He literally played all 3 positions across the back. And again, just didn't put a foot wrong. Yeah, unbelievable. He was both of them. And then, of course, Connor. You know, he was just his brilliant self, energetic, and just getting here, there, and everywhere. And for me, you know, I did say I was going to wear my Palace shirt. I never wear a Palace shirt. I've followed England for a long time and been to a lot of games, but I had to wear it. And before Ty went onto the pitch, I looked across, literally in line with him, and he was doing his boots up, and I caught his eye, and I just held the badge, and he gave me a little smile and a thumbs up. And for me, it made both of those trips worth it. I was so incredibly proud, just like a proud dad.
And Mark Gahey, there's your former captain of England standing right there on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake, that is a future England captain. And yeah, Dawn, I did see your message, and I'm glad Gerald mentioned Kenny Sansom, because I had that same feeling when Kenny played for us. Tim, you wanted to say something, mate?
Yeah, no, I saw a stat earlier on, and I think it's true, but when was the last time Palace had the joint top number of players representing the country in one game? You know, Palace and Man City, 3 players playing for England in the same game. When was the last time that happened?
I'll throw you another one. I'm going to flip that round here. Do you know that we had more Palace players lining up for England the other night than Man United did?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yep.
There you go. So, right. So, congratulations to our nationals. Of course, Checker did so well. And that guy's been brilliant. Look, obviously, Michael Lisa got a knock while he was away. Wilf and Jordan did well. And, of course, the Palace was. And Joachim, Yo Anderson, beautiful. What a beautiful man that is. My love for Yo Anderson now has superseded that it did for Johan Kabay. I'm telling you now. I think he's brilliant. I think he's a quality player. Right, let's move on to something else. I want to talk, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, about Wembley. So in the chat, please, let's have some answers from you in the chat. Yes, Nick, or no, Nick, to the following question. Have you managed to secure your semi-final ticket? Yes, Nick, or no, Nick? So the semi-final, as you can see on screen, on Sunday the 17th of April 2022, kickoff at 16:30 at Wembley Stadium. Palace have got the Box Park area. Now, again, let me see if I can assist any of you that are making the effort to get to Box Park. It's already a fag. It's already a pain in the arse. Let me explain. So you have to go download the black ticket from Box Park before you can do anything. I've done that. With that, it then takes you through to it's another ticketing organisation, a bit like the mob that are selling the actual semi-final tickets themselves. And you have to then get a ticket. You have to get a password from them before you can actually pay for the privilege of going into their pub and having a bloody drink. Okay, so I haven't even managed to get into Box Park as things stand at the moment. And there's 8 of us in our group, and none of us have managed to get. None of us managed to get the password. None of us managed to get. We don't even know how much they're charging us to go into their pub to have the privilege of drinking in their pub. Okay, it's a complete. It's all about money because you've got to pay. There's the QR code. I've got that bit, but that doesn't get you into Box Park, Tim. You have to go on to. It's like Ticketmaster, but it's not Ticketmaster. I can't remember. Anybody in the chat tell me who it was? I can't remember who it was, but it's like Ticketmaster. You then have to go into that like Ticketmaster, and they will give you a password. I asked for a password, and so did everybody else in my party, and not one of us have been sent that password yet. It's just Teresa said I thought Palace were going to Covent Garden. So Steve Tween's got his ticket. Well done. Paul Holden's got his. I can see that. Good stuff. Right. So Covent Garden. Let's do Covent Garden first. Okay. So the HF and what? You got your finger in your ear. You're going, are you?
No, I said no, Nick.
Oh, did
No.
you? No. I didn't
Not
do
yet.
that.
Not unless
Okay.
unless my mate Alex comes across with
Come
a
on,
couple of
Alex.
tickets. Then no.
Lord Hurley in the stadium. Right, okay, so some of the Palace faithful and the HF are going to Covent Garden to start with, okay, and do what they did well. It's not the Green Man. James, it's not the Green Man. You're at the wrong end of the stadium. The Green Man pub is for Chelsea, James. It is not for Palace. Palace have got Box Park. Palace have not got the Green Man pub, ladies and gentlemen. Nigel, you're disagreeing with me, but you are incorrect.
We've got the west end of the stadium.
Why do you
And if
think?
you look at the pubs
Box
off
Park?
Brent Council,
Okay, stop. Why do you think we're going to Box Park? Chelsea would have Box Park. We've got Box Park. You are wrong. Okay, ladies and
Box
gentlemen,
Park's right down the middle, isn't it?
Box Park is the Palace bit, okay, and also obviously they go to Covent Garden as well. We have got Box Park. Chelsea have got the Green Man. Full stop. Anybody else out there want to argue with Nick? Let's have a look. Come on in. James is the only one sitting with this Green Man so far. Handbags and sitting with Rob. We have not got the Green Man. Guys, I was heading for the Green Man. I planned to go to the Green Man because I thought what you thought, Nigel, but I was wrong, okay? We have got Box Park. Okay? Paul Holden says, let's go to the Green Man anyway. Yeah, that'll be fun in our Palace shirts. So I miss out of all of that. So Nigel, you're coming down. Steve, any luck?
No, I'm not going, but I will find somewhere loud.
Good. And Tim, I know you are. Okay, so it would be great for. You can see on screen that I'm already my block is in 134, so I'm behind the goal. Okay, but in front of this singing section, so the front part of the singing section, if you like. So if any of you see us standing in 134, get over, say hello, shake hands, do what Teresa Baker did to me in Selhurst Park last night. Give me a big hug and a squeeze. It'd be lovely to see her. And she's just mentioned in the chat that bloody song. I got up this morning at 3:30 to go to work, okay? And I didn't even think about I need to put the kettle on. I need some toast. I've come downstairs singing We've Got Super Pat bloody Vieira. It is the earworm of earworm songs. I love it. We're in 134, Dawn. Do you know what? I don't know what seat number it is. I can't remember where it is, but because I actually didn't buy the tickets. My son got all the tickets. But I am in 134. Lovely to see. I'd love to see her. Is it Box Park, Nick? Mark Callahan's been sarcastic saying, are you sure it's Box Park, Nick? It's Box Park, not the Green Man. Okay, so those of you that are planning, you're good, Jill. Jill.
If you don't have a ticket, you could always just go up there and try and get in. I went to, and I'm not going to say any names or anything here, but put it this way, I had top tickets for that game against Ivory Coast in a Bobby Moore padded seats bit. It was all lovely jubbly, and someone came with me who didn't even have a ticket in my hands. They had a ticket for a different colour. Like I was in green. I mean, he was in blue, and he ended up getting in with me. And then he went over and saw the band, and then he went up into the top where he just walked all over the stadium. I promise you, it was amazingly shocking. I've never seen anything like it in my life. The last time I managed to get into Wembley on anything like that, I went to the 85 Cup final, Man United Everton. I paid a tenner to a geezer on the turnstile and got in. I've never seen anybody get in to the new Wembley through 3-4 sets of security. Literally just blagged it, standing next to me. I was absolutely amazed. So if you were, yeah, he did, yeah, amazing. So, but yeah, and a little bit of banter with some Brighton fans as well.
Yeah, I mean, you actually raised a good point, because if you think about all the hassle that happened during the final of the Euros last year, I mean, and the total disgrace of what the England fans did on that day, you would think that the FA would have got hold of this and said, right, that will never happen again. Okay, well, it didn't happen again, to be fair. It was one individual that Joe and I witnessed. And he, as Joe said, we were in green. He was positioned in blue. He shouldn't have been allowed in that part of the stadium. But he then popped up in yellow, okay, which is where the band were. He went round the other side. He's messaging me over the other side of the stadium. 10 minutes later, he's walked back round again during the game, and he's sitting alongside us. Was he not, Joe?
He was, yeah. It was honestly, Wembley. Yeah, just try and get in. Just try and get in and see it. But did I go to the Euros without a ticket? No.
So, anything else? Last bit in the chat, Joe. Anything else in there, mate, or anybody else?
What is Lee Clark saying? He said the Leeds game is the third game on a trot on a Monday. It makes it impossible for myself, who are season ticket holders, to go that live a long way away. Yeah, I mean, I have every sympathy. I mean, because of my family situation, my daughter literally about to become a granddaddy imminently. I'm not really allowed to go that far, and I'm also working on a new house, so I can't really go to them. But you know, I do have every sympathy for people. I mean, the game on a Thursday, Everton away, 7:45 kickoff. What's all that about? You know, the dedication to do that. You know, after I think as well, it's after we play on Monday, playing on the Monday, and then there's the game on the Everton games on the Thursday. Are we playing again on the Sunday after that, or the Monday after that?
I've actually got them here, Joe.
It's Sunday because it's the last game of the season.
So we're going Monday, Thursday, Sunday.
Yeah, so 15th, 19th, and 20th. The last three games are 15th, 19th, and 22nd.
But the Villa game, if we get to the final, that's got to be rearranged.
Yeah, so chances are we won't be playing Villa, because obviously we're going to be in the cup final. Okay, so the Villa game, as Nigel quite right, the Villa game technically could actually be pulled forward because there's a little bit of a gap. I think we've got a few days where we've got no game, so we have Play Park as a fan zone, not Box Park. Yeah, that's right, Paul. Is that what it's called? Play Park? I thought it was Box Park. No, it's Box Park. What's he talking about? I think he's taking the piss. I think he's taking the piss.
Just on the note of Everton away on that Thursday, how nice would it be knowing that Frank Lampard supposedly turned us down because he felt that we was a team that are going to be relegated in effect, and he chose not to take us? It'd be nice to relegate Everton.
After his hang on, Tim, I'm coming to you now. After his shitty interview on last Saturday, okay, and how negative was he? I was driving the bus up in central London. I was going past Stamford Bridge, and guess who was coming out of a restaurant next to Stamford Bridge? Miserable Frank bloody Lampard, who got loads of Tim Richards.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Brendan and I had the seats right by the touchline in the main stand in the FA Cup game against Everton. And as it finished, and as poor old Frank walked past, I did call out in a very loud voice, still too big a job for you, Frank, was it? And he didn't answer me, funnily enough.
There's a shot. Ladies and gentlemen, my sincere apologies about the technology in my end. I don't know what it is. I've got a brand new iPhone 13 Pro Plus that you're watching me on as we speak. And it's less than a week old, so it's not that. So I don't know what's caused my issues this evening, so I do apologise. Gentlemen, we've got to do this. Okay, let's do this. So Palace now are 9th in the Premier League on 37 points. Our South Coast friends are in 13th place. Now played the same amount of games as we had. Bear in mind, they did have 2 games in hand over us on 34 points. I haven't got the list of fixtures to hand, but you know ours are Newcastle, Southampton, Villa, Everton, and Man United, and Leicester and Leeds. Okay, but theirs is shocking. Okay, now the club the gift that keeps on giving, Graham Potter has actually, bear in mind, their stadium was half empty the other day, and they announced it was a sellout. What a load of crap that was! There's more blue seats than there was fans in there. But Graham Potter has asked his home supporters to, when one of the bright players gets the ball, to not shout the word shoot. It's putting my players off, quote unquote.
Nick, no, it's the word shit.
When they say,
and that's absolutely true. Absolutely, the gift that gives on giving. I think, you know what? It's so funny, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to pull the plug on this. Oh, God, Jill.
Just really quickly, I know Paul Holden said, Jill, we said 9th of the season. I didn't, and I was looking at it today to see about possibilities. I said 8th or 18th.
He did,
and our 8th would have represented our second best finish ever. I think in the top flight football for Palace, and or relegation. So yeah, I said 8th or 18th. Unfortunately, I didn't know. Although I love all things Palace, I don't really love all things Wolves, and I didn't realise that they are actually considerably in front of us in 8th place, and it would take an absolute collapse for them and us to change positions. I'm hoping for it, but I don't see that. I think we'll have a little bit of a fixture pile up, and once we are safe now, we know we're all safe now. Hope we can put more of an effort into the semi-final, turn Chelsea over, which is a huge possibility for us, I think, and then play City in the final. I think we beat City in the final. I don't think we beat Liverpool. So there it is. My tuppence.
Holy Oak, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to clip that and play it back at the end of the cup final. Nigel, Kim, Steve, Jill, thank you for joining me this evening. My apologies once again. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. When did we say next Monday? Is that Bank Holiday Monday, Nigel?
No, it's just normal Monday, isn't it?
It's normal Monday. Okay, so follow that Monday, next Monday anyway. We'll be back. Ladies and gentlemen, out of Facebook land, I do appreciate you sticking with us this evening with my little bit of technical issues. On behalf of myself and the entire team, and thank you to Greg and Tom Clark for having me on the background. I'll see you next week, and I'm sure some of the guys will do as well. Please take care, stay safe, look after each other, and up the Palace. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Well.